Well, hello everyone, I'm Postmaster Radio, and it's time to bring on the funny. This is Ujokes Weekly, the official podcast highlighting Jonathan Mangum's virtual comedy show Ujokes, where comedians plus the YouTube and Facebook audience compete for the best joke. It's literally comedy gold at your fingertips, and this week we've got 2 Ujokes shows for the price of one podcast, that being no price at all. Lucky you. Robkutner and Alex Wetterland from last week's show that'll be discussed, along with this week's Ujokes show featuring Chipchinery and meghanstrange. More details coming up in a few minutes, but first, in case you missed the most recent Ujokes podcast from a while back, catch up now via the podcast link in the description. And as usual, to continuing listeners, brand new ones as well, thank you for taking the time to check out the Ujokes podcast. If you're listening from Spreaker, Spotify, or iHeartRadio, download and listen whenever you please. If you're listening from YouTube, on the other hand, well then please be sure to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to keep listening after the Ujokes Top 5 countdown for the Ujokes Awards and Ujokes Extras as well. So without further ado, let's do this. Let's get it going. We start at spot number 5 on the old Ujokes countdown. This goes to Alice Wetterland for Finish the Lyric. Now this game works in a pretty simple way based on the lyric, which in this case was, I just came here to the party for the, and then ... Now you don't finish the lyric with, what comes next in the actual song. No. It may be true, but it wouldn't be funny. You finish the lyric in your own comedic fashion. Alice Wetterland sure did, and it did have a certain, and I have said this before for some jokes, but it did have a je ne sais quoi factor.
I think I remember the tune. I just came here to the party for the rugs. Rugs. For the rugs. She came to the party. Everybody else is partying, you know what I'm saying? But she's like, let me get these rugs.
Yeah, well, she's redecorating and
blowing up those rugs. Rugs are expensive, and nobody's gonna know.
Well, she's the smart one, I think. I think we all can agree on that.
Yeah, not bad. Not too shabby. Now at spot number 4 on the countdown, going to this week's Ujokes show. And you could say, and I have used this pun before, so I apologize if this is not new to you, but this was one of the most perfect jokes for when it comes down to cat pics. I kid you not. This time the pic was of a cat shredding the old axe, rocking out on the guitar. The game utilizing this pic was Name the Movie. And this is where Chipchinery shines for this joke, or I should be saying really, multiple jokes in one.
This is part of a docuseries, the one called School of Fur. Now this particular one is Cat of Nine Chords, the Josie and Pussycat story.
The audience always loves the multiple jokes in one joke, as do I.
And in my case, I do love Josie and the Pussycats as well, a bit of an Archie Comics reference. So you know what, that gets bonus points for Chip, courtesy of moi. Nice one, Chip. Now back to Finish the Lyric at spot number 3 on the old Ujokes countdown. And just before we get to this next joke, I want to give a quick honorable shout out to, I myself did not find this joke as funny as maybe some others on the YouTube chat, and this is not the joke that lands on the countdown, so sorry, Big Josh Hinkle Random Chit Show, and yes, that is the name of the actual YouTube user. The joke for the Finish the Lyric game that he had was stimulus check. Okay, fine. Funny for you. Me personally, not so much. Now, with that out of the way, that only leaves us with one more joke from Finish the Lyric, courtesy of Robkutner, which lands at spot number 3 on the old Ujokes countdown.
I just came here to the party for the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. That's a good joke. Okay, I'll admit it.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you go to a party just for the free Wi-Fi? I mean, they're paying it, not you. Props to Robkutner for that joke. And now at spot number 2 on the countdown, man, we're playing a really hard game of Ujokes ping pong, really. Back to Finish the Lyric, Name the Movie. We went back to Finish the Lyric, and now, for the second time today, back to that exact same Name the Movie game. Now this time we go to a man by the name of Bob, and he had earned the honorable title of Last Show's Best. Now, we'll talk more about this later on in the podcast if you want to learn more information about Last Show's Best. Ooh, how can I achieve such an honor? Well, don't worry, we will get to that soon enough. But anyway, now on to the joke at hand, and damn, Bob, no wonder that this joke earned you the win for Name the Movie. I totally see it now.
This is a biopic. It's called Highways to Hell, the 9 musical lives of Mr. Pickle.
I like it. I think I've seen it.
Great job, Bob. I gotta give you like 1,000 points on this one. At least. Maybe 10,000 points. And now, last but not least, spot number 1 on the old Ujokes countdown. This has been happening a lot over the past couple of podcasts, I've noticed. But lately, the top spot seems to be occupied by one entire game, because in these instances, usually this doesn't happen very often when it comes down to the Ujokes countdown. But yet again, there was one game, and this is still on this week's show, that ultimately had both comedians and team audience dominating all the way. Like 3 very solid jokes from a game called What Is This a Commercial For? Now, based on the picture showing, and please don't ask me where this pic came from because Jonathan's producer Josh is in charge of all of the pics, but this one basically showed a baby with a saw blade like object. Basically, if this were a game of Caption This, I would put it as every mother's number 1 nightmare. But that's pretty much a given. And also, we're not playing Caption This. We're playing What Is This a Commercial For? You gotta figure out what is being advertised. Now, shout out to Kirk Wagner on the YouTube chat. This was the joke that actually allowed him to get a point for team audience in the battle. Little Tykes, my first excuse for a hospital visit. Yeah, I can kind of see why that joke took the top spot in the commercial game. That being said, the comedians were on fire in that game as well. Chipchinery had a good joke.
I know this commercial. I've seen it. It's from Baby Depot, Home Depot for kids.
Aw, Baby Depot. So cute.
And points to meghanstrange for this bad boy, not to be confused with the baby in the pig, lol.
I thought this was for toddler tech trade school because, the toddlers are the only ones left with any energy or imagination right now, so let's put them to work.
Right? Put them to work.
Yeah, great jokes all around. Essentially, yeah, Kirk Wagner kind of dominated in that game, but that being said, all 3 jokes in the commercial game, very funny. So, an entire game on the top spot once again. I wonder if the chain will be broken next time on Ujokes Weekly. Who knows? We'll have to see, I guess. Right now, though, it's time for the Ujokes Awards. It's basically the Oscars Ujokes edition. Now, Comedian of the Week, that's the first award of the night. That was a tough call. Rob, Alice, Chip, and Megan put on equally funny performances, but I guess only due to the fact that Chip technically landed on the countdown twice with Name the Movie, and of course, What Is This a Commercial For? So I'm going to give it to Chipchinery. So he's the Comedian of the Week. And speaking of commercial, once again, as I've said before, it's not always the case, but this time it is. One game in which all 3 of the jokes are solid. What is this a commercial for? That is the Game of the Week. Next up, the Audience Award. And you know what? This is going to be a bit of a landslide win as well. Kirk Wagner, back to Little Tykes, my first excuse for a hospital visit, again from the commercial game. Kind of an obvious win at this point, but well done, Kirk Wagner. You not only landed by association at spot number 1 on the countdown, but you had my personal favorite audience joke. Well done. And as for a mega moment, because, well, hello, I can't not have an award named after the Ujokes host, I think I'm just going to give it to Jonathan, still on this week's show. I'm going to give it to him, basically talking with Bob, this week's Last Show's Best guy, about computer developing, because apparently Bob is a computer developer, and, well, I'll just let Jonathan do the talking.
Well, what computer language do you develop in?
Lots. Mostly I end up using SQL, and then C# is another big one.
Oh, SQL, right? What about those number parts and the phrasing? Man, are you a space or tab guy? Yeah.
There's uses for both.
I'm going to be quiet because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, that pretty much spoke for itself. So that's this week's manga moment. That is also it for the Ujokes Awards, and now it is time for Ujokes Extras. First Ujokes Extra goes to a game called Ruined Date, where based on the pick, and once again, I urge you to be reminded that Jonathan's producer Josh is in charge of the picks, because this pick for Ruined Date was a guy in, like, you know, typical PJ assortment, and then a lady that's not really a lady, more of like I want to say a mouse lady. I am hoping that is not an inflated animal sex doll, which unfortunately in my eyes seems to look like that. Ugh. Anyway, on to the Ujokes Extra at hand. This one goes to Meghanstrange. To paraphrase Jonathan Mangum's reaction to this joke, mostly creepy, but a little bit funny. Maybe more so if you're a Muppets kind of guy or gal.
He said, "Wait, you're not Miss Piggy?"
And then these additional 2 Ujokes Extras. This is for the pick of, and this was a funny one, a young girl at the beach. You know when you usually bury someone in the sand, you usually bury their legs only? In this case, there was only one leg sticking out of the sand. So I'm not sure if that pick pretty much just tells all. Now, this was from a game called 7-Word Thoughts. There was one good joke, and keep in mind, this game was played last week, but YouTube user Alan Orshell, shout out to you, Alan, because you had a good joke last week for that game. Nothing to see here. Keep moving, bitch. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that also allowed you to win last week's Ujokes playing of 7-Word Thoughts, you know, for that game. So congratulations, Alan, well done. But now fast forward to this week's show. This is where Last Show's Best comes in. Bob's joke was, same pick, same game. What happens when you use 8 words? Not too shabby, Bob. Well done. Now, with that being said, that's almost it for this week's Ujokes podcast, but first, a couple of quick announcements. First of all, some of you may know this already, some of you maybe not, but Ujokes Weekly will be releasing new episodes every other week. And this is a change that has been going on for quite some time now. It's just to make things a little bit easier, more manageable with my podcast schedule. Now that means that although the next Ujokes show is coming on Family Day Monday, the 15th, at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Facebook. Probably, though, more YouTube if Facebook is not working again next week, because it wasn't working for this week's show, so you never know. But although the next Ujokes show will be on the 15th, please note the next Ujokes podcast actually won't be released next week on the 16th, but rather the week after that, on Tuesday the 23rd. Keep that in mind. And also, we've been mentioning Bob as Last Show's Best. I want to also remind you, not everyone can compete on Ujokes Live, so if you have missed, unfortunately, if you weren't able to play in this week's live show, that's okay. You can still type in a joke in the YouTube comment section, and hopefully on Facebook as well, for any Facebookers listening that usually play Ujokes from there. But anyway, send in your jokes still in the comment section. Jonathan and Josh, the producer, will go back. They'll look over every single joke, and whichever joke is their personal favorite, if it belongs to you, then you will be invited to come and play on the next Ujokes show. And until the next edition of Ujokes Weekly, or until this coming Monday, because who knows, maybe you might see me battling it out on the Ujokes show on the YouTube chat. But either way, until we meet again, don't forget to stay connected with moi on Twitter, Instagram, at Postmaster Radio. You can find the Ujokes podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. But otherwise, you can also listen from Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio. The account links are all in the description. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, well, bye for now. See ya!